Hey there Retro Games fans, this is Andy C from Pieces of 8-Bit and welcome to this week's The Bit Between. We're continuing to look at some Xbox 360 games as we move through the month with. I'm living with the Xbox 360 for the month. So this week on The Bit Between, I'm heading back to 2012 and I'm going to revisit the OG, the original Forza Horizon. And this is the game that really didn't just reinvent the Forza series, but quietly stepped in to replace something Xbox fans had lost. So we're going to just talk about that and a few other things as well. Before I get stuck into the video, one thing I do want to say, and I will talk about this a little bit later on as well, is I've had a bit of a nightmare trying to get this game up and running, and I'll tell you how I'm getting it running in 2025, but also even just getting it streamed to my computer has been somewhat of a challenge. So we'll touch on that, and I'll advise whether I think it's worth revisiting the game, and we'll talk about all of that coming up. So let's continue talking about Forza Horizon then. So to understand Forza Horizon, really what you need to do is go back a few years, and on the original Xbox and the Xbox 360, of course, Microsoft had two very different racing pillars. You had Forza Motorsport, which was developed by Turn 10, and this was the Gran Turismo competitor. And I remember as a Sony fanboy back in the day saying nothing could beat Gran Turismo. I'll tell you what though, Forza Motorsport is really not bad at all. It's very serious, like GT, it's very technical, track focused. And then we had Project Gotham Racing, which was much more of an arcade racer, developed by Bizarre Creations. It was very stylish, as I say, arcade leaning, city-based racing, with lots of attitude and lots of flair. In 2010, Activision shut down Bizarre Creations and Project Gotham Racing essentially was gone pretty much overnight. And Microsoft suddenly had a gap. They had Motorsport, sure, but they no longer had that kind of fun, accessible, style-first racing game. And that's, of course, where Forza Horizon came in, and I think probably still does even to this day. It's developed by Playground Games in partnership with Turn 10. And Horizon was Microsoft's attempt to broaden the Forza brand. It was less about lap times, more about freedom, spectacle, personality, and instead of having those closed circuits that you expect in the sort of simulation style games, you got players dropped into this open world version of Colorado built around a fictional music and car festival. So you think sort of Motorstorm style festival, Burnout Paradise style open world, and that's kind of where you got Forza Horizon coming in. And it was a really big shift. It kept Forza's realistic car handling and licensing, but it wrapped it in that kind of arcade-friendly structure, road races, off-road events, street sprints, stunt challenges, and that kind of constant sense of celebration. And it wasn't quite Project Gotham Racing, and maybe that's a good thing, in as much as Project Gotham Racing really was, you know, like a thing in its own right and probably should just be left there. But that DNA was definitely there. It had that style, accessibility, and that kind of fun first approach. On release, Forza Horizon was hugely well received. Critics praised how well it blended that simulation, the quality of driving, the open world freedom. And at one point they called it the best racing game on the 360, and it sold very, very strongly, introduced a whole new audience to Forza, and really demonstrated that Microsoft could evolve the Forza brand beyond the track. So, whilst Horizon was never officially called a replacement for Project Gotham Racing, I think most Xbox fans would agree that in practice this is exactly what it became. And it really did fill that void that Project Gotham Racing left behind. And it went even further than that. That experiment paid off. Forza Horizon went on to become one of Xbox's most important franchises, and it eventually eclipsed Motorsport in popularity with sequels set in Europe, Australia, the UK, Mexico, and beyond. And so this week, we're going to have a quick look at the gameplay, and have a look at where it all began, and we're going to see how the festival and the freedom and the formula all really started. So let's get stuck in with some gameplay. So we're going to nicely and seamlessly move straight into the game, and here we go. You press R1 to change your view there. I've recorded all of this previously, and I will just briefly touch on the reason for that. And the reason for that is that I've had to play this on my ROG Ally. I can't play it on my Mac. There is no emulator for the Xbox 360 on there. And I have had a real nightmare trying to stream from my ROG Ally to my recording software. It's been somewhat of a nightmare. So getting the audio working and the microphone and getting it streamed has been really difficult. So I've actually had to use some casting software to cast the screen. So I apologise if it drops out occasionally. And that isn't just the streaming either. That is also, a lot of it quite often is also Xenia. And when we talk about the Xbox 360 and what it's been like to live with for the month, I will talk about Xenia. It is a good effort and emulator, but it is not without problems. And in fact, actually, my gaming recording got cut a little short because basically the game just crashed out. And I had that when I played Afterburner as well. I had the same sort of problem there. I'm just having a look at the little reverse play there. But I do get a little bit of a play in. So I do this first bit. That was Xenia, that little drop out there in frame rate. Not actually the streaming software. So yeah, it is a real nuisance. So yeah, we'll talk about that when we wrap up at the end. But yeah, so this is the game, and again, there's Xenia dropping out. We're skipping now to there's a lot of cutscenes in this early stage, so we're skipping to kind of our main protagonist, i.e. yourself, and we go from having that wonderful sports car to a Volkswagen Jetta. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but a bit of a step down. And basically, we're going to have our first little race now whilst we get to the festival, which you'll see at the end of this race here. So we've got this little bit of cutscene here. Controls are very, very simple. So it's the right trigger to accelerate, left trigger to brake. You press the right button to change your view, and you've got Y essentially, which is that reverse thing, which was something that was really cool, which you didn't have in the likes of Gran Turismo, where you could press Y if you had a major crash and reverse back up the game to have another go if there was a corner you weren't expecting. And it's quite handy when you're new to the game as well. You don't know the tracks, or you don't know the courses and those kind of things. You're doing it for the first time. It just gives you that little opportunity to kind of to have a bit of a replay. So controls, very, very simple. The handling of the cars is very, very good, and obviously that's brought over from Motorsport, as I mentioned earlier. Visually, what a stunning game this is. I mean, considering this is 2012, but you're on a 20-year-old console at this point, so it is an absolutely stunning game. I did play Project Gotham Racing 3 and 4, and you can see Xenia really, really struggling there. And again, that is not the streaming software, that is the emulator that's doing that. Yeah, really, really enjoyed playing Project Gotham, and yeah, it looks stunning. And I played this actually on the Xbox 360 itself as well, so that is definitely the way to go if you want to get back into Forza Horizon. And in fact, to be honest with you, that is really the only way to do it. It was delisted off the store in 2016, so you know it's been a long while since this game has been available to download. So really, you need to go and find yourself an Xbox 360 on the disc. And I would not recommend, as you can probably tell, I would not recommend playing this on Xenia. I'm going to have a big old scroll back now. Yeah, it just isn't up to the job, and I don't know whether you need maybe a more powerful PC, but the ROG Ally is very capable, and yes, okay, so it's a handheld gaming PC, so maybe you'll get better results with something a bit flashier, but I'm not convinced that you will. And unfortunately, Xenia, you know, obviously kudos to the developers for putting it together. It's very much an alpha piece of software. It is very buggy. A lot of games don't work at all. And I'll talk about it in my review, and I've got some interesting footage of games like Skyrim, which just doesn't render properly at all. It's quite freaky, actually. So yes, but nevertheless, you get a good flavour for how visually stunning this game is, considering its age, and it is really, really beautiful. It's got a fantastic soundtrack. A lot of people are not necessarily convinced by the whole festival thing, can get a little bit irritating. I quite like the setting of it. I liked it in Motorstorm as well, and we maintain that sort of festival idea as we progress through the generations. And to be honest with you, this is the other thing with Forza. If you've got a modern Xbox or you've got a PC and you want to play Forza Horizon, play Forza Horizon 4 or 5. You know, the gameplay and the style and everything else is very, very similar. Obviously, they are a bit sharper because they're newer, albeit not by loads and loads. Yeah, you're just going to get a better gaming experience now, unless you happen to own a 360 and you happen to own the original copy of Forza Horizon, which I do, which is very, very nice. And I have played this a lot on the Xbox 360 directly, you can probably see I'm not crashing around like a crazy person on this on the Rock Ally emulated version here, and I think there is a little bit of delay on the controls as well. I'm not making excuses, but genuinely, I think that's what's going on there. This is the map you can see here. So it is pretty big. Probably not as big as Burnout, but it is pretty big. And so there is lots of opportunity to explore, lots of different sorts of events to do. And again, that sort of, if you've played Burnout Paradise and you've never played Forza Horizon before, it's kind of quite similar in terms of the way that you pick up races and events and things like that. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. So there you go, that is my little bit of a revisit of Forza Horizon. I kind of had to do it in the bit between, so I have been battling to try and get this thing recorded and work out how to best emulate it and record it that way. Obviously, much better to play it on the Xbox 360, but it's very difficult to record with that because I get delay through my card, and it is going to crash any second, so I am going to wrap up. Hope you enjoyed that. I have got my top 25 videos coming top 25 games coming this year from the last 25 years. So please stay tuned for that. And obviously got the Lego build carrying on as well. Yeah, genuinely hope you enjoyed that look back at Forza Horizon. If you do enjoy these videos, please do hit that like and subscribe button. Just leaves me to say, please do all take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
In 200 yards, turn left. Turn left.
You sign up for festival races at trailers like this. When you see one, park outside it to register for the event.
You have arrived at your destination.
This is it. The Horizon